When Clara Jennings first walked into the FlexFit Wellness Studio that Wednesday morning, the sun was shining, and she felt hopeful. At 28 years old, she thought she was just one fun yoga class away from feeling completely peaceful and settled in her new city. What she didn't know was that in less than 24 hours, her whole life would flip over, and her world would go completely dark. This isn't just a simple, sad story about a fitness class that went wrong. It's a huge, thrilling story about negligence, not caring enough about safety, big hidden secrets, and the very high price you pay when you trust someone without asking questions. Clara had just moved to the big, exciting city of Austin, Texas. She was trying to forget a sad, messy breakup and start fresh. Austin felt like a place of new beginnings, full of music, sunshine, and friendly people. By day, Clara was a smart marketing analyst, which means she helped companies figure out what people wanted to buy. But by passion, she was a wellness enthusiast, someone who loved to keep her body and mind healthy with good food, hiking, and exercise. She was scrolling on her phone one evening when a bright, cool advertisement for FlexFit Wellness Studio popped up. The studio looked sleek, modern, and serious about fitness. Clara decided to sign up for a class that sounded extra cool: Advanced Inversion Yoga. The class was led by a man everyone talked about, Ethan Miles. Ethan was famous in the Austin fitness world. He was tall, perfectly fit, and had a smile that made everyone trust him instantly. He was known for pushing limits, making his classes feel exciting and a little bit dangerous. People loved the adrenaline rush. To Clara, Ethan seemed totally confident, wonderfully calm, and completely trustworthy. He looked like a master of his body and his craft. But, as we know, sometimes the biggest smiles hide the biggest secrets. Behind his charming grin, Ethan hid a big, scary truth. Before her class started, Clara met her neighbor, Lisa Turner. Lisa was a few years older, worked as a busy nurse at a local clinic, and was the kind of friend you could always rely on. She was instantly worried about Clara taking such an advanced class right away. Lisa: "Clara, that advanced inversion class is crazy hard. Are you sure you shouldn't start with gentle flow first?" Clara, laughing: "I need a challenge, Lisa. Ethan Miles is the best. He'll make sure I'm safe. Trust the expert, right?" Lisa just frowned. She was a nurse. She knew that trust didn't always equal safety. The studio itself was beautiful. It had polished wooden floors, huge mirrored walls, and smelled faintly of lavender. The owner was a high-energy woman named Renee Wallace. Renee loved to talk about how elite and exclusive her studio was. She had hired Ethan after seeing his impressive, but secretly fake, certifications. Renee was always rushing, always worried about money, and loved attention. She wanted the studio to be the most famous one in Austin. But even Renee had noticed strange things about Ethan. He would often get angry if a student couldn't do a pose. He would demand they sign extra waivers, papers saying the studio wasn't responsible if they got hurt. One day Renee found Ethan printing out a certificate that looked official, but the printing quality was fuzzy. Ethan quickly snatched it away, saying, "Just a replacement copy, Renee. My original is too important to leave here." Renee wanted to ask more questions, but Ethan was so good at getting lots of paying customers that she decided to blindly trust him and keep the money coming in. Ethan's deepest secret was this: he wasn't a certified yoga instructor at all. He had taken one weekend workshop and immediately started teaching the hardest classes. He felt yoga was boring and slow. He wanted his classes to feel like a high-stakes competition. He forged documents, faked papers, to make the studio owner think he was a master. He wanted to impress Renee Wallace and be the star teacher. He truly believed he was special. He didn't think the rules of safety applied to him or his students. He thought, pain is part of progress, which is a scary thing for a teacher to believe. The ill-fated class was on Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m. The mirrored room was dark, lit only by soft, flickering candles. This was Ethan's special mood lighting. It made the class feel mystical and cool, but it also made it hard to see clearly. Ethan was very energized. He moved around the room like a dancer, talking fast. He instructed his advanced students, and Clara, who was definitely not advanced, to attempt a powerful and dangerous new pose: the deep headstand inversion. This is a pose where you balance your whole body on your head and arms, lifting your legs straight up. It requires immense control and supervision, someone watching you closely. Clara's heart pounded. She hesitated. She had never done it before. She looked around the dim room. Everyone else seemed so serious and confident. "Trust me." Ethan walked over to Clara. He smiled his perfect, charming smile. "Ethan, you've got this, Clara. Forget fear. Just breathe and push through it. Trust me, I won't let you fall." That promise, "I won't let you fall," was all Clara needed to hear. She took a deep breath, lowered her head to the floor, and tried to lift her legs. Within seconds, as her body went upside down, she felt a sharp, weird pressure in her eyes. It felt like a balloon was swelling behind her eyeballs. Clara, voice shaking. "Ethan, I feel pressure. It hurts my eyes." But Ethan was already walking away to help another student. He barely looked back. Ethan, shouting over the music. "Pain is part of progress, Clara. It means you're challenging your body. Don't be weak. Hold it for one more minute." He completely dismissed her concerns. He didn't stop the class. He didn't even come over to help her correct the position. Then, the worst thing happened. Right as Clara was shaking and struggling to hold the pose, Ethan left the room. He walked calmly over to the mirrored door and stepped out, saying he needed to check the music system in the hallway. He left a room full of people attempting dangerous inversions, all unsupervised. Clara struggled alone. The pressure in her head became a roaring sound. She tried to steady herself, but her muscles gave out. Minutes later, she fell heavily. The loud crack and thud of her collapse echoed through the beautiful mirrored studio. It took Ethan over 40 seconds to rush back into the room. By then, Clara was lying on the floor, clutching her head, crying quietly. She was embarrassed and scared, but she thought it was just a bad headache. Clara drove home slowly that night, her head throbbing. She blamed herself. "I just wasn't strong enough," she thought. "I didn't trust him enough." But the moment she woke up the next morning, she knew it wasn't a normal headache. It was a blinding pain. She opened her eyes, but the world was strangely dim, like someone had turned down the lights on the entire planet. Then, as she tried to focus, the dimness rushed away, and everything went completely black. Panicked, Clara screamed and called her reliable neighbor Lisa Turner. Lisa rushed over, took one look at Clara's terrified, wide-open eyes, and knew this was a medical emergency. Lisa drove Clara straight to Austin General Hospital. The doctors worked fast, running tests. The diagnosis came back brutally fast and terribly sad. Retinal detachment. The light-sensitive layer at the back of the eye had torn off. This was caused by severe intraocular pressure, huge, sudden pressure inside her eyeballs. The final, horrifying verdict: Clara was permanently blind. Her sight was gone forever. When Lisa called FlexFit Wellness Studio to tell them the terrible news, the owner, Renee Wallace, was cold and unhelpful. "Renee, we are so sorry, but Clara signed a waiver. It was her responsibility. We owe her nothing." The studio immediately tried to escape responsibility, being held accountable. They said Clara knew the risks. But Lisa, the nurse, wasn't convinced. She looked at Clara's injuries and thought, this wasn't a slip. This was an injury from someone pushing too hard. Lisa decided she had to fight for her friend. Lisa, fueled by fury for her friend, started digging. She spent hours online, searching for any mention of Ethan Miles and FlexFit Wellness. She found multiple angry reviews and complaints against Ethan. People talked about him being overly aggressive, making them do poses they weren't ready for, and ignoring their cries to stop. Review 1. He pushed me until I blacked out. He called me lazy when I couldn't breathe. Review 2. He pushed too far. He never listens when you say stop. I broke my wrist in his class. One review in particular caught Lisa's eye and chilled her. He pushes too far. He never listens when you say stop. He looks away when people are in danger. Lisa knew she had enough. She handed all her notes and printouts to Clara. Clara hired the best lawyer she could find, Marcus Doyle. Marcus Doyle was a rising star, a famous lawyer known for fighting fiercely for people who had been wronged. But Marcus had a personal reason for taking this case. His own sister had suffered a serious sports injury that left her permanently disabled because her coach had ignored safety rules. Marcus was furious at people who valued fame and ego more than human safety. He promised Clara, "We will get the truth, no matter how many secrets they try to bury." Marcus Doyle's first move was to send a very serious letter to FlexFit Studio, demanding they turn over the surveillance camera footage from the night of the accident. Renee Wallace fought back, but Marcus won. What Marcus saw on the videotape changed the entire case. It was the smoking gun, the perfect piece of evidence. The video was dim because of the candles, but it was clear enough. It showed Clara struggling in the deep headstand. Her body was shaking badly. Ethan abandoning his post. He walked right out of the room, leaving beginners unsupervised in a dangerous position. Clara's collapse. She fell hard. Ethan's delay. He took over 40 long seconds to rush back in. He didn't seem panicked. He seemed annoyed that the music had been interrupted. Marcus realized the true level of negligence. Ethan's choice to leave the room for a simple, non-emergency reason showed he didn't care about the safety of his students. Marcus hired a private investigator to look into Ethan's background. The investigator easily found the bigger secret. Ethan Miles was not a certified yoga instructor. He had only taken a basic weekend course. He had used a color printer and special paper to forge, create a document to impress Renee Wallace. When confronted with the proof, Renee Wallace finally admitted the truth. She was too focused on money to check the papers carefully. She had hired a fake expert. The studio tried to silence Clara with a settlement, a large amount of money to make the case go away quietly. They offered her $25,000 to withdraw the complaint. Clara, who was struggling to pay her medical bills and learn how to live in darkness, almost took the money. But Marcus and Lisa reminded her, "This is not about money. This is about stopping him from hurting anyone else." She refused the settlement. Renee and Ethan started telling big, complicated lies to the media. They claimed Clara was an attention seeker who had ignored safety rules and was practicing unsupervised just to take cool photos for social media clout, fame. They said Clara had caused her own fall. But the hospital report was stronger than any lie. The doctor's notes said Clara's injuries could only have happened under extreme strain and pressure during a completely unsupported, dangerous headstand. The courtroom was tense and quiet. Clara sat with big, dark sunglasses on, holding Lisa's hand tightly. She was nervous, but strong. The defense lawyer tried to make Clara look like a liar, asking tricky questions about her past and her breakup. But Marcus Doyle was ready. He stood up tall and presented his evidence. The video footage showing Ethan's terrible walkout. The fake certification records proving Ethan was a fraud. Testimonies from other injured clients who had been silenced by the studio. When Ethan Miles was called to the stand to swear on the truth, he finally broke. He couldn't keep his lies straight under Marcus's sharp questions. Ethan, sobbing, "I didn't mean for it to happen. I just wanted my classes to be special. I wanted people to think I was the best." He admitted that his ego, his desire to be cool and famous, was more important to him than the safety of his students. He admitted he knew he wasn't certified. The jury, the people who decide the case, didn't buy his tears. The jury found Ethan Miles guilty of gross negligence, terrible carelessness, and fraudulent representation, lying about his job title. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison. The FlexFit Wellness Studio was immediately shut down forever. The price of their blind ambition was their entire business. Months later, Clara was learning to live in her new world. It was a huge struggle. She had to learn how to read using her fingertips, Braille, and how to walk around Austin using a special cane. But something wonderful happened. She found a new purpose. She joined a support group for accident survivors, people who had suffered because someone else was careless. These people gave her strength. Clara decided she had to share her story to stop this from happening to anyone else. She started a podcast called Blind Faith. In her first episode, she spoke about trusting her teacher completely, and how that trust cost her sight. Her clear, brave voice told the world about the silent dangers hidden in everyday trust. Her first episode immediately went viral, was heard by millions of people very fast. People all over the country shared her words, saying they too had been pushed too hard by a coach or teacher who only cared about their own fame. Ethan, sitting in a cold prison cell, heard about Clara's podcast. He used his one chance to write a letter to her. Ethan's letter. Clara, I know I can never fix what I did, but you were my wake-up call. I destroyed your sight, but you found a way to give yourself vision. I am so deeply sorry. Clara read the letter once, but she never replied. She didn't need his apology to move forward. Instead, Clara ended her next podcast episode with these powerful, unforgettable words. I lost my sight, but I didn't lose my insight. Never let someone else's confidence be the thing that blinds your caution. In a world that is obsessed with pushing limits and going faster, Clara's story is a huge, important reminder. Safety is not weakness. It is true wisdom. And sometimes, the biggest danger you face isn't in what you can't do, or what you fear to try, but in the people who are so self-centered that they convince you to do something dangerous, just so they can look good. Clara Jennings, the girl who lost her sight, became the voice that taught the world how to truly see.